Hey, it's Theo, and thank you for joining me. And today we will be reviewing the Druid cards from the Lost City of Ongoro. As always, the reviews will all be in 1 minute or less, so I won't be wasting your time. And if you want to check out my other reviews, there is a link to the playlist with every review so far. Now, let's get started with the very first card for Druid, which is, of course, the quest for Druid, the Restore the Wild 1 mana quest. As always, fill your board on 3 of your turns. Reward, the Everbloom, and the Everbloom is a 3 mana 2/5 weapon. After your hero attacks, give your minions +2/+2. So this looks like an insane buff for any token deck. We'll get to a lot more token cards later. But yeah, just absolutely crazy buff. You can do it 5 times. Though the requirement is pretty steep, having a full board. I assume at any point during your turn in 3 different turns. Yeah, that can be pretty difficult, right? Getting 7 minions on the board. But yeah, the reward is really crazy. It's just so many stats, right? 10/10 overall. And basically every board you make is super scary because it gets buffed by a 2 attack the next turn. So the opponent will really focus on clearing the board. So by giving this card 4 stars, I think the reward is really strong. But yeah, I think the quest requirement can be sometimes a little bit difficult to pull off. Now let's go to the second card, which is the Life Cycle, a 1 mana nature spell. Destroy a minion, summon a random minion of the same cost to replace it. Now this card seems maybe a bit odd in Druid, but yeah, we'll get to 2 more cards that really benefit from this card with some good death rattle, so that's why this card is here. But I think it was important to put this first, so yeah, to put the other cards into a better context. Destroying a minion and getting a minion of the same cost is a bit like Conjurer's Calling, but without the twin spell, without getting 2 minions. So you're not really going to be using it on a giant or anything, but you want to be using it on those death rattles we'll get to later. And yeah, I think it's going to be pretty solid with those. You really need a card like this to make those death rattles work. And it's just a 1 mana get like a 3 or 4 drop while getting another upside of killing the minion. So I think the card is pretty solid if you're running those death rattles, and I'll be giving this 3 stars. Then let's go to the next spell that helps those token decks, which is the Hatchery Helper, a 3 mana 2/3 Battlecry. Give your other minions with 2 or less attack, +1/+2 and taunt. So this is a bit like the previous buff we had with the Herald of Nature, though that required a nature spell. But this needs 2 attack or less and also gives the taunt though, or it's a bit like Arbor Upright with a lot of stats and you can get a minion with it. So yeah, just it's going to be really strong, I think, in those token decks. That's a lot of stats. Helps you buff those small minions. We'll get to again later with the other cards where you get like 2/1s or just 3/ins or any other small minion. They can make them pretty scary. Downside, of course, is that usually, yeah, you can only play this card once on a board. Most of the time, it's not really worth playing 2 of these in a row. So yeah, you can only buff it once, then your board has to get cleared, and then you can use the get on the board. But other than that, this card is really strong. The taunt is really nice as well. Just forces your opponent to trade 3 minions first and not just be able to ignore them for a lethal. So just strong card overall, and I'll give it 4 stars. Then we have the 2 mana spell, Ravenous Flock. At the start of your next turn, summon 3 2/1 hatchlings. So this is a bit like the sigil for a Demon Hunter, but those were the 1/1 chargers. These are 2/1 hatchlings, and that sigil was really strong. This gets you 1 extra attack, and you're playing into a deck with more buffs, although pirates were pretty good in Demon Hunter or even Shaman to buff. And this card just works well in a token deck. It can set up your quest, set up those previous buffs for the next turn. It's 3 minions for 2 mana. Your opponent has to kill with all the buffs you got in your Druid. And it is delayed by a turn, which can be both kind of a downside and an upside, because you can then spend more mana on buffing it compared to if you summon it in the same turn. But I think, yeah, solid card in the token Druids, and I'll be giving this 3 stars. Then we have another token Druid card. This is the Sky Screamer X, a 3 mana 0/2 Death Rattle, summon 4 2/1 hatchlings. So again, yeah, that 1 mana spell works really well with this card. It is also a bit like the Bucket of Soldiers, which summons 5 minions, and that card hasn't seen any play yet. And yeah, this one, it also requires another card to work. Well, of course, yeah, you can buff this by itself, just a 3 mana 0/2 getting buffed. It's not that scary, but you can play this on turn 3, then play the 1 mana spell to kill it, and then you play the 3 mana buff card, and you have 4 3/3s, a 2/3, and a random 3 drop. So that can be a pretty powerful curve as a token Druid deck. So I think you want to have this in your token Druid deck, and I'll be giving this 3 stars. Then we have yet another card for the token Druids, which is the Eternal Blood Petal, a 4 mana 5/1 Death Rattle, summon a 0/1 Eternal Seedling, which is basically the same, but has 0 attack and then summons the 5 attack minion and so on. So this is basically just an infinite minion, hence the Eternal name. And yeah, this is going to work really well in those token decks again, because just having infinite minions is really nice. Unless there's a silence or some way like repackaging to get rid of it. Yeah, this is going to be on the board forever. And it works really nicely with that quest because it makes it a lot easier, right? Instead of, if you have one of these, instead of having to summon 7 minions, you only really have to summon 6 minions with it. Plus, it works well after you did the quest, because that always, at least there's one target that you can buff and go face with. Now, it is a bit slow at 4 mana, but I think just having always a buff target is really strong. Having always a minion on the board is just really powerful in a deck like Druid with all those buffs that are there. And I'll be giving this card 4 stars. I think it's just going to really help these token decks work. Then we have another sort of token card. We have got Trees, a 5 mana nature spell. Choose a minion, summon 4 2/3 that attack hit. So I assume if you have 3 minions on board, this will proc the quest. And yeah, this obviously is like the Bees card from before. But that card was played in some decks because just as early removal, because Druid is of course sometimes lacking in that department. But this one, yeah, it's turn 5, it's deal 8 damage to a minion. It's not the best, we've had cards before, right? 5 mana, deal 8, like Flamelets, and yeah, those weren't really that great, and especially nowadays, yeah, those cards don't really see play. So the upside of this card is that yeah, you get minions on the board if you attack a smaller minion, potentially proc the quest or have buff targets for the quest. But yeah, I think it's a bit awkward to play this because you need your opponent to have a minion and it needs to basically be not the biggest minion. Otherwise, yeah, it's just 5 mana, do 8. It's pretty horrible, but I think I'll still give it 2 stars just because it can proc that quest. And it's just a bunch of tokens potentially for these decks. Then we're going to the next card, which is Hybridization. A 5 mana nature spell. Draw a 1, 2, 3, and 4 cost minion. Kindred, they cost 1 less. So if you play the nature spell, you get 4 mana cheat on this card if you've drawn 4 cards. And again, like I've said in other videos, right, tutors are really strong, and this tutors 4 cards. Now for 5 mana, drawing 4 cards nowadays, it's not too amazing. Plus, you might already have drawn all the 2-drops, for example, and it only draws 3. But yeah, what makes this card really work is that Kindred, because making them cost 1 less means these cards go from a 10 total mana cost to 6 total mana cost, which means you can actually play all of them the next turn as well if you need to. Also, saving mana on cards means they are easier to combo, right? Which allow for big swing turns, and they've always been pretty strong. So just really good card overall. Draws a bunch, tutors, and it has mana cheat on top of it. So I'll be giving this 4 stars. Then we have the second legendary for a Druid, which is Low, the Living Legend. A 7 mana 5/5 Battlecry. Your minions cost 5 this game. Now this is one of those minions that could really break the game if there's a specific support for it, or it can just be useless, right, if there's no big minions that are really worth running with this. And at 7 mana you probably play this like turn 5 as a Druid with the Ramp, the Innervate, and maybe the Trail Mix. And yeah, the earlier you get this out, the better, right? If you get this out turn 4, you can immediately play a big minion the next turn, because this is an aura, right? So every minion the rest of the game is gonna cost 5, and yeah, this means every minion, so every minion discover as well. So I can't just yeah, discover 1-drops and play them for 1 mana, so that can hurt some discover options maybe. Also, I don't really see what this card is being played in right now, but it is one of those cards that can, yeah, like I said, break the game at any point, but it also might just be never playable because it never finds home. So I'll go in the middle of the rating and I'll give it 3 stars. Now, one of the cards that could help the previous card is the Story of Barnabas, a 2 mana spell. Draw a minion if it has 5 or more attack. Give it plus 5 health and gain 5 armor. So another card that tutors, so they're always good. Now this does have the requirement of the minion having 5 attack or more, because otherwise, yeah, just drawing a minion, it's not that great, just 2 mana tutor a card. But yeah, you do get the 5 health and 5 armor if there's 5 or more attack. And that is really strong. Just gaining the 5 armor, right, lets you live for maybe a turn longer, and that helps you play the big minion that you drew of it. And then you give the 5 extra health to the minion as well, which can help a lot depending on what kind of card it is. So yeah, it is really strong in those decks that have those minions. But yeah, outside of that, it's not going to see any play because Druid already has other tutors that draw minions with better upside. So I'll give this card 3 stars. I think it's going to be really good in decks it can work in. I just don't think there's going to be a lot of decks that it does work in. And these are all the Druid cards we've got for the Lost City of Ungoro. And yeah, this token support seems really good. Seems like a really good set for Druid overall. Let me know in the comments what you think of it. Do you think as well that Token Druid is maybe going to take over the meta? Let me know. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and until next time.